officials of Grenada, and visiting member states, representatives of national, regional, and international organizations, other special invitees, staff of CARICOM Secretariat, staff of the Central Statistical Office in Grenada, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of UNDP's Regional Bureau for Latin America and the Caribbean, I would like to, first of all, extend my thanks to the CARICOM Secretariat for hosting this very timely, high-level advocacy forum on statistics, strategizing for the development of statistics in the Caribbean community in the post-2015 development agenda. I wish also to thank the government and people of Grenada for hosting this conference in beautiful St. George's and for the excellent arrangements made to welcome us here. At the 45th session of the United Nations Statistical Commission, Mr. Wu Hongbo, Undersecretary General for Economic and Social Affairs for the International Conference on Small Island Developing States, made an astute statement, and I quote, that sustainable development will need to be supported by sustainable statistics. In noting the efforts of the UN Statistical Commission, he observed that the tools developed over the last 7 decades, and I quote, have allowed our members to communicate across borders and add regionally and globally, unquote. It is this very important role that data plays in sustainable human development on a global level, which makes it indispensable and for which a data revolution is pivotal to ensure the continuation of resources put towards strengthening approaches to data collection, analysis, and distribution. The United Nations Development Program has been working globally to support capacity development in the area of data collection in particular, in relationship to the issues of human development, poverty reduction, democratic governance, and promotion of relevant and human rights-based decision-making and policy development. UNDP's work focuses on development from a global perspective and transcends the fragmentation of much development work being done through the family of human development indexes and the innovation and creativeness that has been brought by the human development reports at all levels, that is global, regional, and national. The new approaches to understanding poverty, such as the multidimensional poverty index, has led to a new way of understanding development altogether and are at their core transformative. As we advance in the post-2015 development agenda, the global data gaps have been highlighted as we seek to obtain the most accurate picture of human development from the social, economic, and environmental perspectives. While there have been several opportunities to provide input in the post-2015 development agenda, it can be argued that the Caribbean region has been disadvantaged by not having the most relevant and up-to-date information to guide discussion and decision-making, which limits the development of a framework that is relevant to the Caribbean context. Even more importantly, it means that whatever framework is decided, we risk a repeat of the case of the MDGs, where in the absence of baseline data, it was difficult to develop implementation plans and monitor progress towards the achievement of our goals. It also means that the built-in flexibility which is required to undertake any successful development intervention was limited by constraints in having knowledge of and understanding changing circumstances to the detriment of building adaptable and sustainable programs. Having access to data will mean progress towards building resilient and highly adaptable societies. In looking forward, there is the September 2014 Third International Conference on Small Island Developing States, as well as the Climate Summit, which will be held in New York on September 23rd. In addition to the ongoing meetings of the Open Working Group on the post-2015 agenda, on which there are 3 CARICOM member seats. These provide opportunities to ensure that we place the idea of sustainable data at the heart of decisions on policy formulation and take the time to look into difficulties that CARICOM countries have encountered in the creation of statistical, human, and institutional systems. This is an effort to enhance the availability and quality of information for decision-making and to advocate for the collection, analysis, and distribution of data under a systematic framework to monitor and evaluate progress, make evidence-based decisions and policies to build and strengthen resilience, and thereby reduce the social, economic, and environmental vulnerabilities of CARICOM member states. We must work to ensure the region's access to the most up-to-date technology and technical support to ensure the realization of the data revolution. Towards this end, investment in the capacities of national and central statistical offices must not be sacrificed, and efforts towards expanding the utilization of statistical officers in line ministries should be employed. Overall, the value of data cannot be underestimated, and investing in this will yield both short and long-term results. It has become a priority for the UN system to ensure that economic and social development are undertaken in relation to environmental capacity, and also within the context of environmental protection and sustainable development. And with your continued support and our collective efforts, I'm confident that this priority will be realized. As I look at the agenda for today's deliberations, I'm encouraged to see that we are discussing investing in statistics for policy making, that we'll be strategizing and advocating, looking at how we can get the most effective results and how partnership building across sectors will ensure the sustainability of our efforts. I'm encouraged by this and feel that we are taking a realistic approach towards making a pivotal investment in the future of this region. I thank you for your attention and look forward to a productive 3 days.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory, for your remarks and for highlighting the role of statistics and how you see the process unfolding in developing and strengthening our statistical framework. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to have a representative from another long-standing partner in Grenada. He's the head of cooperation of the European Union delegation to Guyana, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, and for the Dutch overseas countries and territories. Prior to his current post, he worked in the Guyana delegation as head of the regional section, working closely with CARICOM and other regional counterparts on EU development cooperation. He has studied international relations in Netherlands, Spain, and the United Kingdom. Other positions held in the past include Executive Director of Eurocenter, Uruguay, and also served as advisor to the Netherlands Investment Bank for developing countries, among other important postings. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Mr. Ewart Sanker to the podium to deliver some brief remarks.
Thank you, Chair. Permanent Secretaries of Grenada, other CARICOM member states and associate members, distinguished speakers, directors of statistics and chief statisticians, other representatives of national, regional, and international organizations, staff of the CARICOM Secretariat, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you. Apart from the subject at hand, These kind of conferences are quite useful to learn more about the background of people you've known for quite some time. For instance, I never knew that Dr. Harrison studied in the Netherlands. And as I'm sure she was a very good student at the development studies, I'm convinced she also learned Dutch in her stay in the Netherlands. So from now on, I will be speaking Dutch to you, Dr. Harrison. The European Union welcomes the invitation to offer a few remarks at this forum, having had an established familiarity with CARICOM in the area of statistics. We've partnered with the CARICOM Secretariat for almost 10 years to support the region in the development, harmonization, and dissemination of economic statistical data at both the regional and national levels. In the 9th European Development Fund cycle, through the Regional Indicative Program, a total financial allocation of 57 million euros was allotted at the regional level. And one of the key projects which emerged from that program in 2007 was a component dedicated to the area of economic statistical data, an eventual sum of almost 4 million euros. It aimed to harmonize inter-regional statistical infrastructures, assist in the improvement of statistical programming, production and dissemination of key economic statistics, and to train staff and use economic statistics for monitoring of the regional integration process. Independent evaluators rated this component as having attained its expected results and achieved its program purpose so much that it benefited from an additional allocation during the program. This program contributed significantly to the harmonization of inter-regional statistical infrastructure. A help desk was established, organization of databases for the compilation of regional systems of statistics were rationalized, the regional statistical forum was streamlined, merchandise trade statistics were well developed, and stakeholders extended the scope of work from not only economic statistics to also social and environmental statistics. These successes did not go unnoticed, and the EU, together with CARIFORUM, decided to deepen support to the region in the field of statistics under the 10th CDF Regional Indicative Program by building on previous achievements and filling remaining gaps. Under the CSME support program, the 10th CDF, a financing agreement provides support to the CSME in the sum of 18 million euros. And one aspect of this program is also aimed at strengthening inter-regional statistic systems to produce and disseminate timely, high-quality, and harmonized statistics for monitoring and establishing the CSME in a sum of just over 2 million euros by further implementation of the Regional Statistics Work Program through focusing on key areas of statistics. One of the results to be achieved in this project is in the area of improved production and updating of economic statistics. Core social gender statistics, information and communication technology statistics, and core environment statistics. The second main result is to improve the use of statistics in policy making and in the monitoring of the regional integration. This is an issue that is quite close to my heart because I've been working on it the first time I was in Guyana with the CARICOM Secretariat. And I believe that monitoring of both compliance of regional integration commitments at the national level and secondly, impact of regional integration activities, processes, they are absolutely key for the success of the regional integration enterprise. First of all, if you cannot measure, if you don't know what is the compliance at national level with different areas of integration, how are you going to allocate resources in a sensitive, in a sensible way? If you don't know, you cannot prioritize. Secondly, if you don't know what is the impact of your regional integration process, how can you argue that it's a good thing? How can you argue that you should go further, deeper? And in the European Union, we've had some examples of how to deal with that. We've had an internal market scoreboard where countries were compared in their track record of implementation of various internal market issues. And the peer pressure and the competition it generated was quite functional. And when we're talking about impact, in the late 80s, we've done a study on the cost of non-Europe, which basically calculated the opportunity cost of not having a fully integrated internal market. And the results were quite amazing and gave an enormous push to the regional integration process, because it was a good way of mobilizing the private sector, which clearly saw the benefits they were not having by not having yet a fully integrated market. Something like that could be done in the Caribbean as well. And we would be happy to provide funding for such a study, the cost of not having CARICOM. I think I would leave it here. I wish you good luck with all the deliberations, and I'm sure this will be a very fruitful forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanker, and of course we're very grateful to the European Union for the support that they have been providing in integrating or harmonizing the original statistical infrastructure in this parts. At the onset, ladies and gentlemen, I did indicate that the Prime Minister will join us in time to deliver his remarks. We have some very brief remarks from another very important partner in this room. That's the Caribbean Development Bank. And of course, this is followed by a short cultural medley from our brothers, our young brothers at the Presentation Brothers College. We expect some entertainment from them. And of course, once we are through with that, we will have the remarks by the Prime Minister. Yeah? I would like to, at this point, just indicate that when the Prime Minister arrives, if we can stand, or if whoever is speaking at the time would pause to allow him to enter, and of course we can stand and allow him to sit, and then we can then take our seats. So at this time I want to invite, as I said, another important and long-standing partner in the region in terms of development. We have, of course, the Caribbean Development Bank. And to deliver on behalf of the bank, of course, is a gentleman from the Commonwealth of Dominica. He currently serves as the operations officer or social analyst at the bank. He's a development sociologist with about 40 years' experience in designing and managing the implementation of poverty reduction and social and community development interventions throughout the entire Caribbean. He has pioneered the assessment of social impacts and benefits of development policies, programs, and projects during his career, and is a strong advocate for the integration of social dimensions and poverty reduction objectives into development policies and strategies in the region. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite Mr. McDonald Thomas, Operations Officer at the bank, to deliver some brief remarks on behalf of the Caribbean Development Bank.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, permanent secretaries of Grenada and other CARICOM member states and associated members, Dr. Philomen Harrison, Project Director, Regional Statistics, CARICOM Secretariat, other members of the head table, directors of statistics and chief statisticians, other high-level officials of Grenada and visiting members, other representatives of national, regional, and international organizations, other special invitees, staff of the CARICOM Secretariat, staff of the Central Statistical Office here in Grenada, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you. I bring you greetings from the management and staff of the Caribbean Development Bank, and wish to thank the CARICOM Secretariat for allowing the bank to make these brief remarks. I also convey the President's best wishes for a successful forum and the associated side meetings. Prior to the onset of the ongoing economic downturn, referred to in some circles as the Great Recession, the international community, through a series of fora that started with the 2002 International Conference on Financing and Development in Monterrey, Mexico, and to the third high-level forum on aid effectiveness in Accra, Ghana in 2008, undertook a number of actions that made the issue of efficient management for development results, MFDR, a global imperative. In keeping with this, and the consequential tightening of fiscal space that the Great Recession imposed on both the bank's borrowing and non-borrowing member countries, MFDR increasingly became an important framework for the bank's management. This meant that, among other things, the bank had to go beyond the traditional focus on inputs and outputs of its funded interventions and to pay greater attention on the achievement of outcomes. That is, more explicit consideration of the contribution that these interventions make to real improvement in people's lives. This results-focused agenda, which is closely tied to the Millennium Development Goals, is consistent with the bank's primary development focus to assist its borrowing member countries achieve sustainable results in reducing poverty and building resilience to external shocks. Hence, as part of its current strategic plan, the bank uses the Caribbean-specific MDG indicators and targets to be developed in conjunction with the CARICOM Secretariat and UNDP to monitor progress on these development outcomes. The bank's borrowing member countries' performance in achieving development outcomes related to poverty reduction and human development, economic growth, environmental sustainability, and climate change also inform the bank's country assistance strategies and programs. It is important, therefore, when the bank's borrowing member countries develop vulnerabilities as small island developing states, including their small open economies, high levels of poverty and unemployment, particularly among the youth, and vulnerability to natural hazards and climate change impacts are considered. For these borrowing member countries to make the development of both the capacity and capability to collect, analyze, and report on indicators associated to these and other development outcomes, it is a national priority. This means that, among other things, national statistics systems would need to acquire both the capacity and capability to produce timely, relevant, and high-quality statistics in order to input into policies for sustained economic growth and development. The demand for such inputs are urgent now and are expected to increase as part of the post-2015 development agenda. This, as indicated by the report on the high-level panel of eminent persons on the post-2015 development agenda, set up by the UN Secretary General. This, as indicated by the report on the high-level panel of eminent persons on the post-2015 development agenda set up by the UN Secretary General, requires a data revolution for sustainable development. For countries in the region, this revolution will require, among other things, intensified efforts to address some of the critical deficiencies that still exist in the various national statistical systems. While the processes supporting the collection and analysis of basic economic statistics have improved over the years, many countries, despite substantial investments in the last 2 decades by the bank and other development organizations, the monitoring of the MDG indicators and evidence-based policy formulation continue to be impeded by significant challenges related to the collection, analysis, and dissemination of economic, social, environmental, and human development data. Lessons from both the region and national levels indicate that poor development performance will not improve without specific targeted interventions at the level of data gathering, analysis, and warehousing. In this regard, the conclusions of the expert group meeting on small island developing states and the post-2015 agenda in April 2013 stated, and I quote, monitoring and evaluation systems are a cornerstone of development progress, and for the system to be effective, they must be based on strong and accurate data, unquote. This conclusion aptly reflects the value of statistics, of the development of statistics in our region. The meeting reports continued that with a solid data foundation, monitoring and evaluation systems can promote accountability and policy coherence. And with credible data and monitoring system, alternatives to GDP as a basis for clarifying countries will gain traction, unquote. It recommended, therefore, that the capacity of states to gather and analyze data should be strengthened with an eye to bolstering knowledge management systems and M&E frameworks. CDB recognizes the value of this forum in obtaining strengthened high-level commitment by governments of CARICOM to national and regional statistical capacity building as a central element of the region's post-2015 Sustainable Development Framework. Along with other development partners, namely CIDA, now DF, ATD, DFID, and UNDP, the bank has contributed over $6 million since 1995 to assist countries with the conduct of country poverty assessments, which, in addition to providing statistics on the nature and characteristics of poverty in the countries, have also resulted in the production of rich national data sets on human and social development for the first time. And for the first time, central statistics offices are better equipped and have a cadre of persons with skills at various levels in conducting household research. Similar investments have been made over the years in enhancing national trade, economic, and environmental data, but there is still some ways to go. Therefore, the bank is committed to continue supporting its borrowing member countries in those areas and in addressing the specific human development management issues to be addressed at this forum and the associated meetings. It hopes that the deliberations over the next 3 days will advance beyond discussions and result in firm commitments and the requisite actions subsequently by national governments, ourselves, and other participating development partners to bring about some real improvements in statistical capacity in the region, improvements that will enhance the national statistical system's capability to respond to the data demands presented by the region's current development imperatives and the anticipated challenges in the post-2015 era. Again, I wish to thank the CARICOM Secretariat for convening this meeting and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas, of course, for reassuring us of the bank's support in developing the region and in particular in the statistical development in Grenada and the rest of the region. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very short and I would say exciting cultural medley from our brothers at the presentation Brothers College. We'd like to invite them at this particular time to give us their presentation, following which we'll have the keynote address by the Honorable Prime Minister.